Oh, Eric, I love you too.
You're listening to a mostly harmless cutaway.
Mostly harmless. Mostly harmless? Oh, come. I think that's pretty good coverage for this disintegrated pile of rubble.
Hi, this is Eric.
This is Kat.
And this is Sean.
And welcome back. It's Mostly Harmless Cutaway, episode 177. And I think this is technically the second episode of the new series, which I'm not sure if we're calling it 1 or 14 or 15.
Well, they're calling it 2.
Who is?
And the Disney Plus.
Is that what they're calling it?
That is, yes.
Yeah, and Disney Plus after.
Oh, you mean episode 2? But I don't know about the series.
Oh, the series. Okay. Yeah, I can't.
Well, they're calling it series 1 on Disney Plus, which makes sense on Disney Plus.
It drives me crazy.
But I don't know if that's what they're calling it in England town, or who knows. But yeah, this is probably one of the first times in years and years I didn't watch the new episode of New Who, until like 2 days later. Like I knew it was coming, but I was just so busy. And then when I had free time the day it came out, I was just so tired, and I just pushed it down the road for 2 days. And I wasn't worried about seeing any spoilers, nor did I really see much anyway, because I wasn't on the socials that much because I was busy. But I watched it 2 days later, and then, sort of jumping to the end at the beginning. When I got to the next time trailer, I thought, oh, I want to see that one. And then I noticed when I exited out of the episode, oh, it's already there. So that I actually like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, we're here to talk about Space Babies, not the film that came out in 2019 or 2018.
There's a movie named Space Babies?
It's an animated movie.
Okay,
but Doctor Who, new Ncuti, sort of his second full story as the Doctor. And you can tell that all the regular MHC hosts were clamoring to get on, so I had to do an elaborate lottery system to just choose like the top two.
He did not.
So that's how Kat and Sean are here. Everybody wanted to be here, but I had to do it like the draft, like the NBA or NFL draft. And
I thought you were talking military.
And we were all present for the last discussion, right? The previous story.
I think we had Carl too, maybe?
Well, of course, but you were there, Kat?
Yeah.
All right, so we don't have to go over the past. Now, I'll just start by saying to both you, were you... Because I know after the Christmas special, I was definitely ready to see what was next with this Doctor and Doctor Who in general. Were you guys at all anticipating the new episodes coming? Did you even know, Kat, that they were coming out last weekend?
I didn't. I thought they were already airing, and I just missed them, honestly, because and I was just like, oh, I'll have to catch up on because nothing has a schedule anymore, and I don't know what's going on. But I remember, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was looking, and I was like, is that back on? I don't know. So I looked it up, and I was surprised and pleased that I had not missed it. And then I feel like a week later, you were like, be on the podcast. And I was just like, yeah, because I'm caught up with everybody. And I watched them today for the first time.
Oh, that's good. Should be fresh in your mind. And then, Sean, before seeing this first new episode, were you looking forward to New Who?
Yeah, but to be honest, when are you not looking forward to New Who? I mean, every Doctor that's come out, you're always excited to see what's next. How are they different from the others? What are their highlight points going to be? What's going to be the chemistry with the companion or companions?
Well, that's a healthy answer you're giving me. Because I know some other people not present have been jaded for a few years now.
Uh-huh.
So they'll be like, yeah, I'll watch the new stuff, but I'm not jazzed about it. I'm not necessarily curious about those new, like what you were just talking about, the dynamics and what's the character going to be like. So I wasn't sure if you fell into that camp, but I guess
I am absolutely not in that camp. Steve is in that camp. He gave up years ago. And I'm like, get the fucking Disney Plus.
Oh, where's my profanity filter, Nanny? Engage profanity filter.
Nanny.
But I always go in very skeptical, a healthy skepticism. It's kind of like going on like a ghost hunt or something. You're going to see a ghost. That's a stupid analogy. Cut that out.
It's definitely in the podcast.
I know where you were going, though. I'm going to back you up on it. I know where you were going.
It's always something new. And, it's one of the cool things about Doctor Who. And it's one of the reason I started watching Doctor Who. And every time I would watch John Pertwee in order up until I'd be like, this is the one where he dies. And then we're going to have the scarf guy. It was thrilling. I had that watching the old stuff on VHS. So, yeah, I was excited to see this. And I did not know when it was coming out. I knew it was coming out, and for some reason I put Disney Plus on. I have no idea why, because I don't touch it. Oh, maybe it was to look at Hulu for something. And I'm like, oh, Doctor Who? What? Wait, what is this? And then I was pleasantly surprised to see that they released 2. And yeah, I don't know why it went over my head like that, because there's people posting on social media.
Well, I think something they've been doing for years now, it's not new. Like, they'll go into heavy promotion mode like 2 months prior to a new series of Doctor Who. So I kind of lose track of exactly when, unless I'm, hooked in. I lose track because they've been heavily promoting it for so long. And it's not just with Doctor Who. This happens to me with other news shows these days sometimes as well. But anyway, we're here. First episode. Does anyone want to lead off with any strong feelings right off the top?
I really want to put in a ticket to the writers to not see a monster of bodily fluid ever again. Don't want it. We had the eye mucus monster, and now we had a nose mucus monster. And, that's just disgusting. Don't want it.
Yeah, I've got to think about nose mucus too. Like, I don't know. But anyway,
I jumped ahead, but I just wanted to put that out there that we get it. We don't have to do it, because then you start to think, well, what's next? Like, what other bodily fluid monster can it be? And none of them are good. None of them are good. So
that aspect of the creature, it didn't gross me out that much, but it felt weirdly Moffat-y and RTD like style, because kind of like the juvenile humor that RTD that we all know. I mean, there's many examples, but the first might be with the Slevine in Aliens of London, World War III, all that business with the silly fart humor. And there's many other examples after that. And then for some reason it makes me think of Moffat with his just taking simple kid-like things and manifesting them. But for me, it was okay. Like I find it no more gross than Slimer in Ghostbusters.
Okay. Wow. Very kind words.
It's no Pizza the Hut, let me tell you what.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay. I just want to say, before I watched this, I actually watched them out of order because I wanted to see the Devil's Cord so bad. I wanted to see Jinx Monsoon. Okay, so I watched that first, and then I watched Space Babies, one right after the other. And I came in. Spoiler: I was really happy when I started watching this. Okay, I don't know when it suddenly triggered, and people who are skeptics are going to say, "Sean, you just don't like babies." And this is correct. I don't like babies. They terrify me. You never know what they're going to do next. Okay. Sean, you just don't like babies. That's why you didn't like it. Okay. well, let's get rid of the babies then, and let's make them human beings that were raised on the space station. And there's a monster lurking downstairs, but then there's a lady. I feel like this is bits and pieces of classic Doctor Who from different stories, and that's not really a complaint. But let's really start with the stupid babies. I can't tell you what is going on in someone's head who has seen every single Doctor Who episode since William Hartnell. I just was wondering if I am not a normal human being and like this is normal, or I know what it is. I know nobody was going to say, Russ, maybe you better tone it on the really weird stuff. Why don't you write that, Monster of the Week one? This was terrible. My worst Doctor Who televised episode was Time Flight, but congratulations, Space Babies.
Wow, really?
You just usurped Time Flight as the one. I was sitting there watching it, and Tom turns to me and goes, "You look disgusted." Yes, I am. This is disgusting. We had to get the diaper humor, the nappy humor in there. That had to be brought up. Oh, you've never had a hug. Oh, let's all have a hug. Oh, no, they all want to have the fucking babies. Okay? It's a boring story. It's a boring... And then when they meet, what's her name? Jocelyn?
Yes.
She's like, well, why don't you help them? Why don't you... I don't want them to see me die. What the fuck?
That was a ridiculous...
That's like... I don't want to have kids because I don't want them to see me die. It's
because they were gonna like what? I can't remember if it was run out of energy or run out of food,
or both. Eventually, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be like natural death. It was, it was gonna be like they're all gonna die together soon. But, I already kind of knew you didn't like it, but I didn't know it was now your least favorite all time.
Oh, God, yes.
And Time Flight is certainly much maligned from the classic era, but be that as it may, there's many more classic episodes of Who, mostly during the JNT, or more specifically during the 6th and 7th Doctor, that I would place lower than Time Flight, but maybe that's just me. But because I was thinking about what you said about what if like the lifelong fans, like how crazy did they perhaps think this was? And I mean, I was a young fan at the time, but like the finale of Trial of a Time Lord, the last full episode with Colin Baker, I mean, that seems pretty out there. And then some of the Sylvester McCoy ones, like the one with the Candyman, or perhaps even Paradise Towers, or even the one with the green baby, which I really... That's a weird one. I don't want to get into it, but I mean, those were I mean, the show was only 25 years old at the time, but those were probably like, I'm sure there was older fans of Doctor Who at the time who were just like, what is going on? What is happening? And this is just taking it to the modern nth degree, I suppose.
No, if you see that old video of Chris Chibnall as a little nerd kid,
yes.
Apparently the kids hated it too. At least the ones that wear glasses.
Yeah, he looked like he was like 16 or so at that time. I'm not sure,
but no, I just don't know who the target audience is. Okay, and there are people that apparently like this very much. I was on a Facebook group that has nothing to do with Doctor Who, and somebody posted, tonight you can watch Joe Bob Briggs, or you can watch Doctor Who. And
somebody posted that, and it wasn't you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes they post about classic Doctor Who, because it's whole about horror movies and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I said like the geekiest, most obnoxious thing I think I've ever said on the internet. But I was trying to save this person. Okay. I sound like people I hate.
Yeah.
And I prefaced with this. I have seen every available Doctor Who episode from Hartnell to Gatwa. And just let me tell you, skip Space Babies. It's ridiculous, or something like that. and somebody got offended by what I said, and that's anyway. I seriously think I don't know what anybody would find redeeming about this story.
Wow.
About the babies, about that lady, and like what? Okay, why were they babies? If they're 6 years old, shouldn't they be 6-year-olds? Or was that quickly explained?
It was quickly explained.
Yeah.
I didn't even retain it the first watch. I watched a little bit of it again earlier today, and Ncuti gives a quick explanation, which even now I don't remember, but he explains something about them aging, but their bodies being stuck in baby form. But I can't remember his actual explanation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I get it. It was an excuse to cause the premise to become reality for RTD or whoever. I'm assuming he cooked up the whole idea. Now, Kat, did you hate this episode as much as Sean?
I didn't hate it. It's not the worst for me. It's not the best. Like I said, bodily fluid monsters. I want to be done with it. And I think I read lips more than I thought I did, because the babies talking just took me out of the whole experience, because their lips were not moving with the words, and I had to turn on captions in order to understand them.
Oh, weird.
And I just thought, like, why are we making them talk? Why didn't we do a better job of making them talk? I hate it. I hated that. But all in all, I thought it was like a very sweet episode. It was cute, a little goofy. There was baby Eric, which I thought, oh my God, Eric's on the episode. And so I just really, really kind of enjoyed thinking that's like you, and that was dedicated to you. So
I'm not going to say that I have a new text alert with Millie's voice saying, oh, Eric, I love you too.
Ridiculous.
I'm not saying that's a thing that exists.
That's okay. But I wondered if you enjoyed that as much as I did, because it was kind of goofy.
Yeah, because now I don't have to be known as Eric Klieg anymore, because I've always been looking for significant Erics in Doctor Who. And there's been a few, but they're mostly like in novelizations and Big Finish. Eric Klieg is the most prominent.
Wow. Okay, Eric, we're gonna stop you.
Yeah, we now bring you established Erics of Doctor Who. We're sitting in front of the fireplace. Good evening. Today we're going to take a look at Eric Sayward.
It felt like he was going there, didn't it?
Hey, I don't have a self-published book on Kindle called Eric's in Time.
Okay.
Not a thing.
Okay, let's hope you really don't have that, because I don't. So, I mean, and this also to me gave me Wall-E vibes.
Oh yeah, that was the first thing that popped in my head watching it.
But I felt like we just saw a empty spaceship in peril thing with Donna and Tenant Doctor. So I was just
sort of
kind of annoyed that we saw this type of thing again, But yeah, babies are weird here, but I mean, I didn't hate it as I didn't hate it. It's not my all top hated.
So now I really wish Carl was here, because even if Carl didn't like the episode overall, I'm sure he would still set Sean straight on this episode, because Carl would really bring out like the noble qualities of this episode, even if he didn't like it overall. But I'll have to suffice. I'm not going to try hard or anything, but especially in the modern era, quote unquote, or the post-Moffat era, especially in the post-Moffat era, every time I watch a new episode of New Who, I'm just kind of like, okay, what's the angle they're going on here? Like, I don't even want to say the P word, but like, what's the political bent going to be? And there's always been a political bent throughout New Who and Classic Who as well. It's just my antenna have been raised in the post-Moffat era, especially because there's always got to be a message of some kind. And so, I'm trying to figure out what angle they're going with. And, there's some pretty clear statements early on, I think, from Jocelyn when they're trying to figure out why are there babies on this station. And, it's because it's against the law to stop the machines, but they had to leave. And so, it still produced babies, but no one to take care of them. Okay, I get it. So I'm thinking, oh boy, are we going to go allegory heavy?
Oh, and they did.
On the A word.
They did.
And so I was like, ooh, okay, can I deal with this? But it wasn't just straightforward like that. There are other twists and turns with other types of political allegory and allusion. What else was there? There was just the thing about, was I born wrong? And he's telling the captain, no, you're exactly who you're supposed to be. And I noticed on second review, yeah, okay, they're obviously pushing heavily this theme since the change, or since they introduced Ruby and Ncuti as the doctor. This whole thing about the orphan thing, because the doctor, especially since he regenerated, he's been talking about it a lot. References to the things we discovered in the previous run of the show. And we all kind of know like Ruby's mysterious origin that keeps getting callbacks, and then you had the babies stolen in the Christmas episode, and now this. Okay, I get it. This is something to do with the series arc or whatever. It's not just about the A word, but it's context, I guess, that makes sense with the theme of this particular episode. That's fine. But again, thankfully for me, it doesn't just focus on that aspect. It gets into other things as well. So while I started off being really trepidatious and like, I don't think I'm going to like this, as it continued and the story unfolded further, it was okay in the political sense for me personally. That being said, I knew other people, and I'm not just talking about people on MHC. I just meant people out there on the internets and the YouTubes and everything else. I knew this was not going to be liked. And there could be several reasons. It doesn't just have, it could be some of the stuff that Sean brought up. It could be some of the stuff like Kat brought up, like, yeah, the effect could have been better with the mouths. There's a lot of things that a lot of people perhaps wouldn't go for this episode. And I'm very cognizant of that. But that being said, I actually liked it overall. I remember I used to not really like the more silly episodes of RTD's original run. And I really didn't like them back then. The ones that like Love and Monsters and the ones that really stick out. And this probably should fall into that category for me. But for some reason, it was fine. And I was okay with the gimmick or the premise, as long as every episode isn't this nutty. And going back to, yes, we all know Doctor Who can be like a box of chocolates, or historically has been. And if we're just going to have a one-off kind of loony episode like this, as far as silly loony episodes, this is, of all Who history, this is one I actually find more palatable. Is it my favorite kind of Who? Is it what I want from Doctor Who? Heck no. But for silly episodes, this is a silly episode that didn't bother me that much for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that this episode is just going to go into that bubble where all of the, we haven't even talked about it since it first came out. For instance, the Matt Smith one with the cubes. Remember that?
The cubes.
Yeah, see? Yeah. No. These stupid black cubes appeared from everywhere. And they were being controlled by aliens that were taking over people's minds, and that's literally kind of all I remember.
See, no. The problem is that you say cubes, I'm thinking about the Pandorica. I'm thinking about the message cube that leads him to the Doctor's wife, and I'm like, which cube are we talking about?
They're like message cubes. They're about that size,
right? But
it's like a what do you call it? A puzzle box, like in Hellraiser, that size, trying to say something that will.
Which doctor was that?
Who was the companion?
It was Rory and Amy, 11th Doctor, set in present day, and these black cubes show up.
Oh, is it the one? Was Rory's dad in that episode?
I don't remember, but I remember now. It's called Power of Three, I think, or Power of the Three.
Yeah. That was when they had the so-called movie series where they advertised every episode as being like its own movie. Like there was the one, the dinosaur, the cyborg, Westworld Killer, Power of Three. I'm pretty sure was during that season. I think that was the one with Rory's dad, but I don't even remember the details of the story. But you're right. I forgot about it, but I remember liking it. But I don't really remember anything about it. So maybe that is how I will feel about this one in 5+ years.
That's interesting. 5+ years. We should go back and pull out, blow the dust off of Closing Time or something like that, and see if it still stands up today. Oh shit! I just mentioned one with a baby in it, didn't I? Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wish Josh was here because
kitchens.
Yeah, we got a kitchen. I keep wanting to call her Rose, but Ruby's mom's kitchen we get to see.
Oh God, we did, didn't we?
And of course, Josh's favorite, kids. I like the dynamic, and I know they were remote control. I forgot what they call them in England.
Prams,
yeah. I get it, and I get that the babies don't know how to speak or communicate in real life.
I hated it.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was a good thing. Like, if they would have somehow tried to pull this off, like this story, this script, in the 80s or the 70s, I think it would be one heck of a loony episode to revisit from Classic Who.
I would have preferred if they had the babies keep their mouth shut, and as they were talking, they had like a light on their head that showed which one, and like as they're talking.
Oh my God! Turn into the Daleks.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like just a simple jewel, like on their forehead or something.
My God,
nothing big.
Like Logan's run.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is like Davros.
No, they would have little flags, like when you go to that Mexican restaurant, and you need more food.
Oh my
you raise the flag.
Or maybe like text bubble or something on top. I mean, anything.
Just give them a conch shell while you're at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would have preferred like text bubbles above their head.
Text bubbles.
Yeah, like those lips were terrible. They were awful. And technology has progressed way, beyond whatever their mouth was doing. Like, I feel like I can go on to, what is it, Dolly, actually, and make their mouths look better with
Yeah, this seems to happen in a lot of modern shows lately where people are like, we could do this better ourselves. Like, why, what's the deal? You're right. Yeah, their lips were a little bit out of sync and whatnot, but
it drove me crazy.
I don't know why. I didn't find it that distracting.
It drove me crazy.
You know what I want to see? I want to see, instead of babies, they kind of do Modern and Dead, except all the babies are the old Dobby versions of each of the doctors.
Okay.
Wait.
So, no. No.
But, they should have seen like that in the one where all the Cybermen were like coming from dead humans. They should have had like a bunch of little baby cyber kids like come out. That would have been pretty nut.
They didn't Big Finish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I didn't really think it through all the way, but Sean was right. Like, I mean, I had the idea in my head, but he crystallized it. It is like an amalgam of a lot of classic Doctor Who stories and premises, which is fine because there was times when they were just running down the corridor. I guess it was the corridor that had the crayons on the wall. And it just reminded me of the set from Ark in Space when they would walk on that outer ring.
Yeah. Oh, just everything. They do this walk on the outer ring spaceship thing a lot.
Yeah, and then they make a point of saying like, "Oh, you just got to go down the corridor," because they love saying corridor and quarry in Newer Who. And yeah, it just felt like a zany Doctor Who episode. Sean, you were going to say something when I said, what if they produced this story in the 70s or 80s?
Yeah, actually, I wasn't even thinking. Well, no, this would be 80s. I was thinking like McCoy era,
Oh,
except
certainly it could fit in there.
Yeah.
Naturally.
And I know that everybody's like, McCoy's like one of the greatest years ever. I'm going to make a whole podcast just dedicated to that.
Oh, my God.
But, guys, it's not, okay? It's not. There were plenty of other better things I could have been watching between 1987 and 1989. One of them is Driving Miss Daisy. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Sean loves
what is
that
happening
movie.
right now?
One time I got really drunk and I pretended... Eric had no idea what the hell I was doing. I pretended that he was Morgan Freeman and I was Jessica Tandy and Driving Miss Daisy. And I'm like, Hoke, you're my best friend.
Yeah.
You know, and then he looked down at me and we held hands. And yeah.
No, this is based on a true story.
What?
No.
Man, this
No.
is the thing. That,
Sean was not pretending to be Jessica Tandy. He just was Jessica Tandy. and he said, Eric, I just want to tell you something.
Okay, guys. Yeah,
I think I was, you know what? I think that I requested Jessica Lange and there was a miscommunication and I got Tandy instead. Okay?
And he said, Eric, you're my best friend.
Okay, we can stop. We can stop. I think I never thought I'd say this, but I think I'd rather talk about Space Babies now.
Well, I still think the worst baby in Doctor Who memory is the green baby in Delta and the Bannerman, which I mentioned
Absolutely.
earlier. That is, I would take these babies over that baby any day of the week.
But imagine if you had like 10 of those babies in a zany episode of Doctor Who with Sylvester McCoy. Imagine what kind of a story, and your boogeyman downstairs could be like, I don't know, Monster of the Week, something we can really make fun of and make, cosplays of in 2024.
It could be a monster made out of all sorts of candies.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it's just to me an okay episode. Now I don't expect an okay episode. I guess this is not the season premiere. I mean, it feels like it's supposed to be, but they're calling it episode 2, whatever. But I still kind of expected a little bit more for what feels like it's the first episode. But if we say it's just a regular second episode of an RTD series, it fits that slot well. And I know this used to get talked about back in the old days of Doctor Who podcasts, but especially during the RTD era, the first episode would be like this of a series. Would be like Earthbound, pick up the new companion, meet the fam. And then the second episode under RTD would always be something to the future or to space.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third episode would always be like a historical or something in the past.
Meet the famous person of the season.
Yeah, and it's weird that
same formula.
I actually find comfort in it, even though the RTD era was never my favorite, except Series 1 is really good. But it was never my favorite era of even New Who. But yet somehow returning to this feels like putting on like a comfortable shirt that you've had a long time, even if it's not your favorite shirt.
Well, I guess because the formula is bonding with the companion, right? We get to see how they work together in a pinch. Like, we don't have all of the baggage from their family or anything. It's just those two together solving crime or whatever. And I mean, for that reason, I think the episode was good for that alone, because they do have chemistry. And I didn't hear any of us say we didn't like anything to do with the characters, right? So I think they did.
I haven't said everything about that yet, but
well, I didn't. I liked it, that the Doctor and the companion here, but
I do think you're right. I agree. They do have good chemistry. Like, my God, I just want to call her Rose, Ruby, and the Ncuti Doctor. I think they have good chemistry as these new characters I'm getting used to. I still love Ncuti in the role and his presentation of the Doctor. I'm still on board with that, even though it's very different for many reasons we've already brought up in the previous episodes of the podcast. But I'm still down with it, despite this episode just kind of being like okay for me. And while I think Millie is a capable actress, certainly. I haven't grown any affection for her as a character yet. It's early days, but obviously there's been certain companions of New Who that I loved right from the get-go. Even Bill, who is often forgotten and maligned in certain fans' memories. But even her I quite liked in her first episode. So, yeah, so Ruby needs to grow on me. But yeah, they do have good chemistry, though, with each other. And I guess it's not that she, on the most basic level, resembles Rose, like in description. Like if she robbed a liquor store, and you described her, it could be Rose or Ruby. But it's not just that, though. She also has at least at this point, she seems like she has carbon copy aspects of Rose and Donna.
Amy?
And there was somebody else from
I feel Amy. Just a little bit.
Amy, but yeah, not as much. I'm trying to think of, there's these certain companions who are always about, like, Doctor, you have to remember yourself. You need to not be so, like, evil or mad or vengeful.
What was the Autumn Leaves companion?
Clara?
Yeah, maybe.
But still, so she doesn't just only remind me of Rose. She reminds me of all these other, and especially Donna, though, and especially because Donna is so recent. She has that similar characteristic. That there's nothing wrong with that. It just feels samey, or like we're doing it again. Now, it's early days, and I'm sure we'll learn more about Ruby's character and what makes her her. But she kind of feels like Donna Jr. with the appearance of Rose. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about the main aspects of the story or the episode, but I'm curious about some other things, though. Like, there seems to be a deliberate effort on RTD's part with his new episodes, because he keeps showing how little things that are done in the past can affect the future. And we've never seen it done so much that I can think of, like, especially like in the same season. The Matt Smith first season, that's a whole different situation. I'm not talking about something like that. What I mean is, in other seasons of Doctor Who and series, whether it was classic or new, usually they just do things in the past, and usually there aren't too many repercussions later. Yes, there's like the black and white episode, the Ark, and certain other things, but generally it wasn't really an issue. But under the new era, under the returning RTD, we had the Gravity Mavity thing and how that seemed to stick around, which was a little bit weird. And then we have, which I don't get, the situation with the butterfly.
Oh.
I mean, I get it. Like if I was watching Back to the Future or like some other time travel thing, but she steps on the butterfly inadvertently and like changes the course of human evolution. And at first I thought, oh, that's just like a one-off gag or something, even though we don't usually see stuff like that in Doctor Who. But then there's more later.
No, wait, no, you didn't get the joke.
What?
I know the old adage. I understand that.
Well, it was a short story by, I don't remember if it was Ray Bradbury or Isaac Asimov, where there's a company that invents time travel. Mm-hmm. And they go back in time to, I don't know what, dinosaurs or something. And of course they're told, keep all your hands inside the vehicle, so to speak. Don't do anything. So they go, they do their sightseeing, they come back to Earth, and everything's like, it's like ruled by the Nazis or something like that. And they're like, but we didn't do anything to change the past. And then one character lifts up their shoe or something, and there's a crushed butterfly on his shoe. And that's how the story ends.
No, I get that. Well, that's what I'm saying, Sean. At first I thought it was just, playing on that joke. And obviously in this episode, another reason why it feels like a series premiere is because, like when we had Rose introduced, or Martha, or Amy, like there's this like reintroduction of the Doctor as if people are jumping onto the show for the first time, or the first time in a long time, or they're young and they're just watching Doctor Who for the first time. They're explaining a lot of the basics, like the chameleon circuit, the automatic translator. I get it. that makes sense. I mean, for this sort of being like a season opener, but I thought it was just going to be a one-off joke. But it seemed a little bit weird. And then, there's more to say about it, but that'll be in the next episode. But there's definitely a purposeful theme. Like, this is like the bad wolf thing of this run right now, is that there's all these things about how little things in the past can affect the future. It's an ongoing theme in all these news stories that have come out recently. So I don't know where that's going, but there's definitely a deliberate emphasis on that.
I think we're going to see the Ruby as the butterfly person again.
Wow.
What?
That sounds like a fanfic premise.
It was fanfic for her to turn into the butterfly person, but I feel like we're going to see her again, or at least some butterfly people. I mean,
anything's possible. I would definitely be surprised, but I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, I would be. So I mean, there obviously have to be more context into what the heck that would all be about, if it were to.
Maybe
happen.
That's why she's special, air quote.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's the other thing that's been a very common theme in New Who. I feel like Caleb has brought it up a lot, who has said many times that he doesn't like the idea of like whoever the companion of the year is. It's just they have to be such a special human being. And I don't feel as strongly about that as Caleb does, but I also, that feels samey, because it's definitely happened a lot in New Who. A lot.
So he did the DNA scan, and then what? I mean, you just left it running, and
I hate how it does remind me of Clara too, because it's already been shown here and there that the Ncuti doctor has been checking up on Ruby at different points in her life, like since she was a child, which again is very much like Clara and what the doctor was doing when he was trying to figure out the whole leaf thing. And I'm assuming this is going to take a different direction at some point, but at least at this stage, yes, I don't like how it reminds me of that as well, or feeling samey again. Because I'm looking at it, the new TARDIS interior is gorgeous. Yes, it probably is the best of the new series ever. I think we've already said that before, but I'm going to say it again because I just saw more interesting shots in this episode. And yes, we've already seen the next episode. So yeah, that's stellar. Is there anything that you, even though you didn't really like the episode, Sean, is there anything that you did like?
I really didn't like it. I can think of one thing. There was one moment that I really liked, and it was small. But when they go up that weird elevator, and he means to cover her mouth, but instead he covers her eyes, and he doesn't realize it at first, and then he looks down at his hand, and then it's like, oops, and then takes his hand away. That was funny.
What?
Why did he want to cover her mouth?
Because she was going to scream, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, I couldn't remember. I need to look. That sounds good. Was it a cop-out, Sean, or anyone, how the almost death of the monster was so alien?
Oh, God. Yeah. By then, it didn't care to me. I think it is a cop-out. I mean, it's so glaringly obvious. I mean, this isn't like what's-his-name got in trouble for putting something in Downton Abbey, and it had been used in Mrs. Miniver, which is a movie from 1940-something. Okay, this is. There's not that much of a gulf between Alien and Doctor Who. There's a lot of, in the Venn diagram, there's a lot of crossover. And I can't believe that Russell T. Davies isn't smart enough to know that people who have seen the movie and who are fans of it would jump on that, would think of that. I think it's a cop-out. I mean, maybe he could have thought of something else, but I don't know what it would have been. But if you give me some time, I'll think of something. It'll be like an eject button, or, press this button in case there's an alien here that you want to kill, and the button will be there.
I mean, how lame was the Satsuma when that I can't remember what those creatures are called, when in Tennant's first full story, when it just simply falls from the ship. Oh, I'm that kind of man.
I don't remember that.
Oh, wow. Tennant has the duel with the creature on the roof of the ship. And then he beats him and he's like, oh, I'm going to let you live, blah, blah, blah. And when he turns his back, the whatever starts coming at him. And then he turns around and throws the Satsuma and hits the button that conveniently makes that bit of the floor disappear. And then it just falls. He just falls to his death.
Why in my mind is that a tennis ball?
No, it's definitely a Satsuma that he's been carrying around in his Arthur Dent pocket the whole time. But I knew, even before it was very obvious, I knew there was going to be some element of having to save the monster. And this is the part that sort of was a salve for me, that they save the creature, because the creature is essentially a child or spawn of the baby farm, and it needs to be saved too. And so it was weird, because if you remember what I brought up, how my antenna went up early in the episode, because I was thinking, oh, they're making like a very anti-abortion case here in a sci-fi way. But then when you watch the whole episode, they're kind of making a pro-life adoption case. And so that's why I'm like, okay, this feels relatively balanced. Like it doesn't feel like it's just leaning in one direction. And this is how I've always kind of liked Doctor Who and Star Trek and sci-fi in general, is when they tackle an issue and it's not just taking one single hard stance, where it's a little bit in the middle. For better reference, and I know Carl's seen the show completely like I have, but when you start watching the good episodes, my gosh, what's the Seth MacFarlane show? I was about to call it Andromeda. The Orville. When you start watching the really good episodes, which are primarily the third final season, because every single episode is so good in the third final season, and each episode almost in the third season of that series, every episode takes on like a present day hot button issue, but tries to deal with it in a Star Trek allegory type of way. And like me and Carl have said numerous times on Star Trek episodes on RBG, like classic Star Trek would make you think and make you wonder who is right in this whatever situation we're in. And that's what Orville does amazingly well in season 3. And this episode, it's not that amazing. But I'm just saying it evokes that, oh, well, we're not necessarily saying do this or do that, you in the real world. And so that's part of the reason why a lot of my stance softened along the way on this episode. It's where I was like, oh, no, it's okay. I mean, if you can get past the silliness part, it's not overly woke, as they say, which I have seen tons of YouTube videos that are making that claim on this episode, or all the new RTD episodes. And this one was okay for me.
Well, in that respect, if we're going to talk about wokeness, I don't understand how we need to save a creature of snot.
Thank you.
Interesting.
My other question was, why did they feel? Were they feeling pain when he was being sucked out of the airlock or something? I can't remember.
The babies weren't feeling pain, but they felt bad for the creature.
Okay, yeah, no, that creature needed to.
Yeah, see, I'm not there. See,
because like, is it what is it gonna do? Live happily ever after on the planet with people?
I don't
Are they
know.
gonna train it? He's gonna have a collar in a doghouse? Like, what is he?
I don't want to bring more politics into this conversation, but
that's no politics. I'm just saying practically.
No, what I'm gonna say. But here I go. No, because you're starting to sound like that governor that's been in the news lately.
You know what? I'm gonna need you to stop trying to make this a political thing. I'm talking about
it's just what you're making me think of, though.
But I'm just saying, having a monster made out of snot, that isn't even. I mean, I guess
the reason I say this is not because of politics, but because but especially in New Who, but not just only in New Who, the Doctor is about accepting creatures and misunderstood creatures. Yes, there are obviously creatures that he kills all the time that can't be saved because they're, killing people or doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and when did this monster ever change or do something or have like a something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When did it kill someone? Or I think it killed somebody, but I don't even remember who it killed, if it did kill someone.
Well, it was going to kill that one baby. I can't remember the
Eric.
Yeah, but somehow baby Eric escaped and got in the fucking closet and we were okay. I just don't, do you know how many triggers I had of like, oh my God, this is dumb. And then like after like the fifth one, you got to kind of just give up. Like by the time it got to the hatch scene when it's going to get sucked, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like Alien, I really don't care.
I don't know what it is. Even though this was, a mediocre episode. See, I'm trying not to ever reference like the previous 3 series of Doctor Who, but I feel like even the mediocre episodes were few and far between in the previous 3 series, meaning that they were less than mediocre for the most part. And so this being mediocre, in my opinion, is still a win in my book, even if, like you say, it will probably be forgettable down the road. I don't know. I'm a little mystified at myself as to why I'm not that bothered by this episode.
It's forgettable, honestly. I'm going to add one more thing. Now, this is going to be political. Okay. So, because, of the snot and the slime all over the spaceship, it was given like Nickelodeon slime, right? Right. And I wouldn't have thought anything of that before this year, right? No. But yeah, there you go. We're going there. We're going there.
Yes. Now you're taking it to a whole different.
I'm just saying. I saw that it was very kid. It had babies in it. She's a young person. We got slime on her head that looks like the slime from Nickelodeon, and I'm just all of a sudden thinking Quiet on the Set, and I'm thinking like, oh, that wasn't a good idea to kind of do that. That's gonna,
nobody could have foreseen that coming. I mean, like
that. I'm just saying that's what I thought, and I was just like, that's uncomfortable.
Whoa!
But
Sean, do you know what she's talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, there was this thing on HBO or Max where there was an expose.
Oh, about Dan Schneider.
Yeah. Okay. And so they were talking about how they did the slime, and the slime was reminiscent of a bodily fluid of a human. Mm-hmm. Male, and
Jesus Christ.
They were kind of comparing it to that. I mean, I'm just like briefly, there were a whole lot of other things, but to see it here in Doctor Who, and I was just like, this is a show for kids. It's not supposed to be deep. It's not going to hit you at whatever. But this is for kids, and then we still have the slime. And then I'm thinking about the slime, and I'm thinking about kids. I'm like, did these kids get hurt, or they? And then they're just, Then I shut it down because I'm like, you're being ridiculous. It's just a episode, but it did cross my mind. But I wasn't going to bring it up because it was stupid.
No, I get what you're saying.
But and I knew exactly. I knew that they didn't mean it that way, but I thought about it. So it was still a thought in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. And that's unfortunate. I mean, for you, obviously.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Yeah, it is. But that's the only thing. I see what you're talking about, the political and woke stuff, whatever, Eric and how they was being like, oh, we can't kill babies, abortion, blah, blah. But I've seen it done better. I mean, it was.
Oh, absolutely. It was clunky. It was lazy. Yeah, I understood. I was just saying, I just appreciated there was some balance, even if it wasn't overall well executed.
Okay.
I'm just glad it didn't lean in one way or the other.
They did it better in Doctor Who. Kill the Moon. Remember that one?
Oh, that was so much better.
Well, I'm done. I've looked at all my notes and I got all of my. Oh, I think I.
Yeah, my only note is Eric.
My only note is baby poop propulsion. If we.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that made me think of the
engine. Like what is? Yeah.
Yeah, very Red Dwarfy, and I don't even know why I say that. Just because Red Dwarf is a silly show.
It makes sense. It makes sense though. I get what you're saying.
I just want to say about the snot thing. I have a just gross. And if that was real snot, it wouldn't look like that. In fact,
wow.
They wouldn't. I'm sorry, but it's true. I once had an operation that I had to have a tube coming out of my neck where all the snot came out of my neck into this big thing. And I'm like, oh, it's gross. It doesn't look like that. That stuff is...
What does it look like?
Oh, it's a lot more yellow.
Oh.
Well, snot, okay, if we want to get really into it, snot can come in all different kind of forms. It can be clear, it can be viscous.
It can. It could be like a running. It can be.
It can be yellow. It can be crusty. It can be
clear.
It could be mocos.
Chunky.
Wow, I'm really glad I finished my little packet of Planters Tropical Trail Nut Mix before you said that. And I just want to say one thing in case Mr. Peanut is listening. This has 4 things on the front cover. It says pineapple cashews. Okay, saw those. Banana chips, raisins. Very good. Peanuts. Lots of those. And yogurt-covered raisins. I got through half the package before I saw one yogurt-covered raisin. And I had to dump the whole thing out while y'all were talking and count the number of yogurt-covered raisins. 4. You can cut that out, Eric. I don't care.
I'm not cutting it out.
I'd rather be talking about Space Babies. Said no one ever.
I did like, at first I thought it was going to be annoying, but I like how the 15th Doctor kept saying, and the babies, Space Babies.
Oh, fuck me.
I thought it was cloying at first, but as he kept leaning into it, I found it amusing.
No.
It was very David Tennant to me. I don't know. It seems like something David Tennant would do.
Yeah, but oh god, oh, Space Babies. Oh, I just
okay. Well, I mean, we're done.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna rate it, but I don't know if Sean already heard this fun fact from me. But did y'all know that milk, like milk with your cereal, is essentially cow mucus? Yeah, that's the fun fact.
Why do you think I don't drink it?
Did you know that, Kat? That's a true fun fact.
So when human mothers feed babies, they just give them...
Yeah, same thing. Any mammal. Well, first you have to believe in evolution, but the way it goes in biology is that mammals, at some point in the early stages of mammals, basically picture an animal that has like an open pus wound or something to that effect, and imagine the younglings being able to suckle from that, and then mix in some evolution in thousands of millions of years, and you get mammary glands. So it's that's where mammaries came from.
This is such a very non-disgusting episode.
And that's what I ordered extra of on my star pizza.
Well, I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't have to have the mucus.
But everybody with their cream and their Starbucks and everything, it's all mucus.
Let's move on.
All that cheesecake is mucus.
Stop
it? Whatever.
Want some cheese in your burger? Mucus.
I hate you.
All right, let's rate it. How many bogeys out of 5?
Oh, bogeys.
Either those or dirty nappies. How many out of 5 would you give this episode?
I knew you were going to be. Those were going to be V2.
Speaking of bogeys, they used to sell them Harry Potter. I almost said Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
Helen
I'm
Keller.
sure you can still get those.
The Harry Potter jelly beans. They were jelly.
I tried to eat the Helen Keller jelly beans, but I couldn't find them.
Wow.
No, but Barry Bott's all flavored beans, I'm sure you can still find them somewhere. I'm sure they sell them at the Universal Studios.
Okay. Let me book a flight right now.
But yes, the bogeys are disgusting. The vomit are disgusting. The dirt are pretty bad. And the grass.
Oh, so why would you pay to eat that?
Well, you don't pay to eat those, but you pay for like the surprise. It's not like it's 75% bogey flavored.
Okay. All right.
It's like, it's the Russian roulette of candy.
Okay.
There's no cyanide pill in there, so not really. Okay, let's wrap it up.
How many bogeys out of 5?
Yeah, how many are you gonna give it?
I personally gonna give it 2.5 bogeys.
I'm just gonna say I'm weirdly. I mean, I think it's weird myself to say I'm giving it a 3.
I am going to give this half a bogey.
Oh wow! Well, yeah. I mean, you did say it's practically your least favorite of all time Doctor Who. I mean, so that would make sense.
I'd rather be watching Twin Dilemma.
Well, I like Twin Dilemma,
or the Horns of Nymon, which may or may not be the same story. I don't remember it that well. So
I mean, Twin Dilemma is bad, but I can definitely watch it.
Hey, do you think is anybody using AI to like recreate the lost episodes of Doctor Who? Have they started doing that yet?
I haven't seen it prominently displayed, but I'm sure people. I'm sure people are dabbling in that or using AI tools. But if you want to search that stuff out, that is another thing that keeps getting better all the time. The fan-made recreations or like.
Oh, they've been doing it already?
No, fans are.
Oh.
But there was a recent release on the animated. Well, it was like 2 years ago. I can't remember what story it was, and it reminds me of the Tennant CGI story, Dreamland.
Oh,
except this is like in black and white, and it's a official recreation. It's like one of the last. It's like one of the most recent animated that they've released on DVD.
I don't want it animated. I want it as close to like human.
I understand what you're saying, but my point is, it looks really bad. Okay, it looks like Dreamland, except it was released 2 years ago.
Well, Dreamland wasn't bad.
Yes, it was. Animation wise, yes, it looked like Dire Straits. I Want My MTV.
Yeah,
just a little bit better than that,
or like a Pet Shop Boys video or something.
I don't know what you guys are saying, so.
Maybe you remember a different Dreamland.
But if you want to keep your eye on AI, one project that they're thinking of doing, they did it with Kevin Spacey, and they put in Christopher Plummer, after all the Kevin Spacey stuff came out. Well, people don't like Kevin Spacey, but they love American Beauty. So what they've decided is they're going to change it to a lesbian couple, and they're going to replace Kevin Spacey with Angela Lansbury. And I'm going to watch out for that. I may even buy the 4K and the Blu-ray.
Wait, is this a fan edit or this is legitimate?
I don't know, but somebody's got to get on that. Replace Kevin Spacey with Angela Lansbury.
Okay, so that doesn't. Okay.
Imagine that she's going out to the garage to smoke pot and make her music video, her exercise video. Because remember, she had one of those exercise videos.
Just be honest. You just want the tryst in the motel room.
No, she's not in that. That's Peter Gallagher and Annette Bening still.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, because Angela Lansbury's old. She's older. Not like
also deceased.
Yeah, well, she wouldn't be in it anymore. She's AI. That's the point.
I get it. She wouldn't. Physically, it wouldn't be her corpse added into the film.
Wow.
Remember when Robert Zemeckis did it with Forrest Gump and actually Tales from the Crypt in the same
And by the
year?
way, if you watch John Lennon and Lyndon B. Johnson in Forrest Gump, the way they speak, they look actually a little worse than the baby's mouth.
Yes. I believe that boy said he had to pee. Yeah, it's yeah. And it won an Academy Award.
But it was amazing at the time. But, hey.
It did? Won lots of Academy Awards.
Yeah, but that effect was groundbreaking at the time.
Back then,
It's the second time we brought up Forrest Gump in this podcast.
I just wanted to say before we jet out of this one, I don't normally like to watch the next time trailers when I'm in the middle of new Who viewing. But it came on so quick. And just when I saw, it's going to be that 60s episode, I was like, I want to see it right away. Even though I don't know if it's going to be good or anything like that. I don't know what it's about. Because I saw 3 seconds and I shut it off. But I was like, I just can't wait to watch that one. And as I said, I was pleasantly surprised to see it was already available as soon as I closed out. So that was good. But will next week and next discussion be good? What are the other voices gonna say? I don't know. Stay tuned for new MHC coming soon. Why do I sound like I'm on Quaaludes this whole episode?
I don't know what you're doing. Everything's weird right now.
You guys have no idea.
Did you take Cummings with you on a work trip?
So, could you imagine? Do you know how many people would just love the idea of getting away from the house, ordering a whole pizza with extra cheese, eating a gummy, and sitting and watching a horror movie with the headphones on in a hotel room?
And because I know we have a lot of listeners who are minors and younger who listen to the show, kids and whatnot.
No, they don't.
Sean takes Sour Patch Kids everywhere he goes.
I do not.
He's taking women's multivitamins in there.
Oh, wow. This is Eric.
This is Kat.
And this is Sean.
And until next time.
Even if you need a baby poop propulsion engine.
And if you get hurt in an accident, call Mostly Harmless Cutaway.
Okay, I'm panicking.
I always forget what you do. I know it's like you have to make something up on the spot, but I always forget what it is.
I don't know. I guess I wasn't supposed to make anything up.
No, you were. You were. That was right. That was correct. It was good.
Oh, yeah, totally fine. Now I feel bad for hating this so much.
I can see how you would, though. I see it. I hate, well, maybe they'll leave this in, but I really hate when I have to try to like something.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, I could have lived life without seeing this, and I've been okay.
Mm-hmm.